I love this Oscar. This Oscar is fired up.
He's all torqued up, right?
I'm back on caffeine after COVID.
Woohoo!
Oh, there it is.
I was down to 1 cup of coffee a week, and now it's more like that was tough. And now I'm back up to 1 a day.
Because still lowballing it.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't talk about why. I don't want that out.
All right. Well, we'll skip over that and we'll intro the show then.
All right, but we're live. That's why I'm saying.
Yep. All right. Hello and welcome to the Legends of Tabletop podcast. We're getting ready to jump back into our Cthulhu Invictus game. We have a brand new session tonight. Our investigators are going to start a whole new adventure tonight. But the last time that we had played was the second part of Ink and Venom. There was a rider that had come from the town that we were heading to track down Optimus Prime. I don't know. There's like a weird genre blending thing. It seemed kind of out of place, but it's fine. Anyway, we went to go find. No, I can't say his name right. Optimus? Is that what it was?
I think it was Optimus. I'm not pulling up the other adventure. I've got this one up already.
But the other actor kind of gave us the lowdown. So there was a tower that overlooked the road. It was outside of town. That Optimus would go there afterwards, and that the woman that was with him, who we knew to be a dark fae, would meet him there, and she was essentially killing him by using up all of his life energy that he, put into all of these different plays. So we headed down there. We went, walked around the town. There was going to be a festival that night. They were celebrating the release of a new play. We knew that time was short, so we made a deal to take that actor's clothing from after the play. Doreena would go up to the tower impersonating Optimus to try to lure the evil fae out. I mean, they're all kind of evil, right? I mean, we'll just like fae.
Yeah.
So they're all evil, right?
You're close enough. I'm not going to correct you.
Yeah. So it sort of worked in that she came out, but then like grabbed Doreena. It turned into a shit show. She started slinging spells. Macrion was on fire, like internal fire, right? Like no real fire. But we were able to kill her. Malachi was able to grab Optimus as he fell from the tower. And we wound up going back to the Optimus's family. We were spent some time there recovering, and that's kind of it from what I remember.
We transformed.
We became anew?
Never mind. Optimus Prime.
Oh, we transformed. I got it. I'm slowly. Yeah.
And then we rolled out.
Now I just feel stupid.
I am one transformer comment away from putting a penalty dice on all rolls tonight.
What about GoBots? Is that acceptable?
Beyblades, come on. What? Work with us here, Oscar. Wait.
No, that's the problem. I'm working to put a stop to this. I don't want to work with this.
Let Beyblade.
Okay, so
let it rip. All right, Oscar, let it rip.
We are off to a hell of a start.
Oscar's not even cracking a smile. We're doomed. We're so doomed.
All right, we got to start this game so we can collect them all.
Okay, so you are you're traveling and you reach the town of this is hard. Cardaractonium. Please forgive me, historians and Latin speakers. It is in North England. Let me see if I can. You see it?
Yes.
Yes. It's a very long word.
Oh no! I just took Oscar out of the stream. Hold on. Let me put you back in the stream.
Oh no! You took him out again.
He's still there. All right.
There he is.
There he is.
Okay, hold on.
Can I?
Yep.
Can I select
we see
you?
Okay. And there it is. And
Back out
Just
a
below
little.
the wall.
All right.
Nice.
all right, so good enough.
Now we see.
Now everybody. All right, so you are you're there. You had gotten a request from someone in the governor's inner circle that you should proceed north and you should speak to a commander in the city of Coria. You were to do this before the spring thaw. So it means traveling in winter. If you remember a few adventures ago, it was harvest time. They were trying to bring in crops. So just extrapolating the time, it's you're now in winter. They want you there by spring. He says that there's a rare opportunity to they'll brief you on it there. But it means traveling, north and to Hadrian's Wall, and they said, and possibly as far north as the Antonine Wall.
Oh shit! All right. Do we know? Could we make would it be like an empire check to see what we know about this area, if anything?
Sure.
At all?
Sure.
All right. I will try that. 83. I got a 51.
So you make it?
Yep.
Okay. The areas between the Antonine and Hadrian's Wall, these were previously held Chaldonian territories. They have only been officially part of the empire for less than 25 years or so.
Okay.
Hadrian's Wall was meant to keep the Picts out. It didn't really work because they were still raiding. So they launched further punitive campaigns north and pushed the Picts back, and then built a second wall to keep the Picts out. And all of that territory is now newly conquered Roman territory. But the people living there are, still mostly, North England Celts. So it's not an area where you're going to see a lot of Roman faces. And this is where you're being sent.
Okay.
But in the town of, the town with the C, Cardaractonium. Again, my apologies to historians. As you are there warming yourselves and deciding to rest your daisy cart, rest your donkey for maybe a day or two before you head north, because Coria is a long road north from here and it is winter. So it'll be a bit of a trial weather-wise. And, you're warming up in a nice inn, and you begin to hear all sorts of quiet murmurings of a town that is being beset by, being overtaken by fear and rumor.
Just the kind of place we like to vacation. Or so it seems.
So, if you want to insinuate yourself, slip yourself into a conversation, or just make a listen roll and eavesdrop, you can start picking up what's going on, or you can choose to just ignore the obvious hook, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll start doing the usual, hanging back in the pub and listening in as much as can and soak up as much. So I'm going to do a listen first. So I critical that.
Okay. They're talking about the a boy who was killed while in custody. Some are saying that he killed himself. Some are saying that he was part of the bandits. And they're whispering that he had told a crazy story before he died. And some people are saying, well, we don't know the story was crazy. It would certainly explain more than it would answer more questions than it raises. And they were saying, and then you hear the road north is at this point probably impassable.
Is that because of the season? Is that why?
It doesn't seem to be. The road seemed passable. Like when you rode in, I mean, it's cold, but there's not snow on the ground, and it's.
So I guess I start striking up usual conversation over wine or whatever. Why are the roads impassable?
They say that it's not that they're. Did we lose Doreena?
No, she's not.
It's not that they're impassable. It's just that people have been going missing on them more and more over the last few months. And the last caravan that was sent out, the merchant knew that the road had gotten dangerous, and he'd hired half a dozen armed men to guard his shipments. Only one came back. A boy, one of the young teamsters, a slave owned by the merchant. And told a frightful tale. The police must have thought he was lying because they were trying to get to the bottom of it. And he died during the questioning. So nobody can really know what's the truth and what's not. But no one's volunteering to head to Lugavelium. You remember from the map that Lugavellum, I guess. It's the city right across from where you were heading. So there's two roads leading north from here. They're talking about the other northern road. Your northern road still should be fine.
I mean, I don't want to interject if Malachi's doing a thing, right? So I'd maybe wait until you come back and then.
No, it seems like he's just talking to people. If you wandered up with a drink in your hand, you'd just be his friend coming into the conversation. It wouldn't be weird at all.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to just keep it very low key, not interrogational at all.
Oh, so what news, Malachi? Anything interesting? We will be heading north soon. Yes.
Not the road to Lugavellum.
Apparently, the road to Lugavellum is a little perilous these days.
Oh, really? I believe we were taking the other road to Coria, but what sort of trouble? Anything that threatens the town here?
A band of we're thinking it's either Pictish raiders or bandits, but they've been picking off every supply caravan coming this way or heading between the road of the road heading to Lugavellum and Cartaractium. No travelers have been able to make the journey in several months. At first, it was just one or two travelers going missing, and then larger and larger groups, and now it's pretty much everyone who sets out along this road goes missing. The last was a group of 4 wagons with a half dozen armed men and an equal number of teamsters. That's 24 men, and they've just up and vanished except for the one boy who came back. And his story didn't make any sense, and when they tried to get the truth out of him, they They killed him while questioning.
What was the story that he gave?
He said a mountain witch had cast a spell on them, killing most of them, and then eating them.
Macrion chokes on his drink a little bit, like he's taking a sip. She says mountain witch. He's like, excuse me.
They call her the hunger of the hills. The boy said it was a old, frail-looking woman with great strength and magical power, and that the hag feasted on the dead. The boy claims to have played dead until she vanished from the roadside, stalking off into the hills carrying some of the corpses, and then wandered back down the road for several days. He was half dead when he got here. So people are saying that he was probably working with the bandits who robbed these people, and the deal went badly, and he came back and came up with this terrible story, hoping people would have sympathy on him. But such is not the case.
Insight? Oh, I got a 19 out of 23.
Everything these people are telling you, they believe to be true.
So he looks like meaningfully like over the guy's shoulder to Malachi and kind of like, squints, kind of gives him like the nod, like this is probably something that we should do.
And one guy says, I don't know why everyone's so quick to discount the boy's story. He had nothing to gain.
This is true.
And he goes, and he says that back in my grandfather's time, he said that Kalog would often hunt these hills.
Kalog, huh?
One of the younger, more Romanized Britons says he means a hag. Like a bog witch or a mountain witch or that sort of thing.
So these people are primarily all Britons, right? We're not really.
Yeah, you're getting further and further north. They're Romanized, but they're more and more. You're finding the people are Britons. And he says that such, these are stories our grandparents told us, so we wouldn't wander away into the hills to, escape looking after the sheep. And they laugh, and the old man says, laugh all you want. Why don't you take some supplies north? And he says, because I'm not a teamster, I'm a cobbler. And they all laugh. But you get the impression that they're laughing more to dissuade their fear. And they're, I guess you made your insight, they're more hoping that they're right.
Right. So if there's like 2 or 3 guys that we're talking to, like if we're standing near a table or whatever, Macrion would buy them all, another round just to keep them talking, just to be, sort of personable. And
okay, I'm assuming you want to steer the conversation towards this topic.
Yeah, like surreptitiously though, like
Okay. Roll a persuade check with a bonus dice for buying them all around.
Okay. What is my charm? I think I have decent charm. Fucking 30. Oh, 92. That's not going to work. So 82. Fuck. It doesn't work. He's like hags, right? So what's that all about?
Does anybody else want to try and help?
I absolutely can try. I mean, I probably should have been the one that I have a 49 charm, so 34. That'll do it.
Okay. They basically says that it couldn't be a hag.
Don't mind my friend here. He's
They said it couldn't be a hag because just up until a year ago, there were people traveling on that road fine. Nobody had ever said anything about a hag. You know, hell, there was even a family living and running a establishment about a year and a half, up until about a year and a half ago. You know, along the road, if there was such a thing as a hag of the hills, surely that family would have reported it.
What happened to that family?
Oh, it was a terrible fire. The grandmother and the 2 children were all burned to death. No one really knows how it started.
Oh, probably unrelated, right?
They said that the last traveler who saw her was a merchant, her and the children, and he said that they were fine when he traveled, and the next people along the road, they said that apparently there had been a fire, and that you know, they couldn't really find any of the bodies in the wreckage, but they erected a small shrine, and a priest of, you know, Apollo went and gave them proper funerary rites so that their spirits wouldn't inhabit the road.
Seems like everything was done as it should have been.
But it was after that time that these other things started happening on this road.
Oh, it wasn't for a year after that.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's not related.
Interesting. And how civilized is the area around there? Good Roman town?
Yes, the town north of here is a fort town. A lot of military presence. That's why we're surprised that bandits are becoming so bold as to strike so close to Hadrian's Wall after it was recently repaired.
Strange situation indeed.
Was the repair that was just part of the normal repairs to the wall? Or?
Well, when they wanted to reinforce the defenses after the Antonine Wall was put up. So it was a general overhaul of the area, which actually happened about this time in Roman history.
How long of a travel is it north from here? Few days or few weeks?
A few days.
And none have made the journey recently then?
The last 2 tried, they'd all vanished.
I see.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we're going to Coria.
So it would seem.
What were we going to Coria again for, Macrion? I don't even recall.
We had to speak with the commander there. They had something. We had a meeting there.
They said you were going to speak with the commander in Coria. Are you official couriers or soldiers?
No, we are. What do you say? Like official? We are officials of a sort.
When you say that, Herminius, roll your status.
No, you're still muted.
And then unmute yourself.
Now.
I have 2 monitors and my mouse was stuck on the other one. That is a 43 out of 41. I could burn 2 luck.
Yeah, do it.
I'm going to burn 2 luck.
Woohoo.
And then you see people pointing to him, and they're like, isn't that Herminius? Herminius, the famous witch hunter? The famous Eastern witch hunter who's been rumored around these parts?
That is one and the same.
Then I started to get between them and Herminius and go, oh, just hold on, folks. Hold on. Yes, it's him.
There's a couple people
One at a time.
immediately leave the bar, and then they start buying you guys drinks.
I'm gonna walk over and peek out the door at the people that left the bar.
Thank you.
They
Casually.
kind of walk towards the center of town.
Right, I'm gonna just sort of casually. At a
Yes, you
distance
can,
keep an eye on them.
Doreena.
Good. Because I wasn't necessarily associating with them. I just want to walk, and I just walk out casually and just kind of see what's going on from outside.
Roll a stealth, and you can follow them.
Nice.
I'm following. 21.
Oh, perfect. 40
They
out of 40.
go
so-
straight to a vigilus, and they talk to him. The vigilus says, "Come with," orders them to come with him, and they go right to the local prefect's house. And they go in.
Mhm.
So basically, it's like the mayor of the town.
Okay.
Any sense when those folks left? What did they look like? They were worried, or they were like, the jig is up, or something like that?
They didn't
Any
look like
sense
they
of-
were worried. They looked like they were excited.
Oh.
Do you want to wait
okay.
here?
So if they looked like they were
Doreena-
excited while I was following them, I probably would just hang out.
They come
Well,
out.
we're right next to each other, Doreena. I mean, one of
Oh,
us.
you're
can
with me?
go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
After a few minutes, they come out and they look really happy with themselves. And one of them's looking into his palm and kind of. And a few minutes later, a
I'm starting to walk back to the
a
tavern.
well-dressed slave and that soldier starts walking. Exits and starts heading towards the tavern.
Oh shit!
Oof.
What could this be about? I start whispering to Doreena, "Let's go, quick!"
Yeah, so we're gonna dash as quickly as possible without looking too inconspicuous. Because I don't like.
I think
I
that
like-
you and I can look pretty inconspicuous. I think if we need to.
Okay. A well-dressed official and a guard, a vigilus, come into the bar, and they look around, and then they start coming over to where Macrion and Herminius are.
And then I told her as they walk up.
All right, I stand real close up behind Macrion and Herminius, sort of a little bit in between the.
Macrion, roll your
official.
status.
Good. Oh shit! I got an 6 out of 55, so extreme success.
Nice.
Okay. The guy looks you over and says, "You're a Macrion of Corinth, the traveling Greek scholar who's been getting into trouble all over the province, I'm told."
So he's got his foot up on a stool, so he kind of puts his foot down. He sort of straightens his toga, and he's like, "Yeah, yes, I am. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking with this evening?"
I am Avrik. I am here to fetch you and your companion, especially Herminius, and if your other companions are nearby, to speak with my master.
You have a bit of trouble for us to get into.
Gaius Junis, the local prefect. He has wishes to speak with you on a matter of some urgency.
He looks over to Herminius and shrugs, and he says, "Shall we?"
Can I roll insight?
Go ahead.
No, fail.
Malachi,
Herminius, yeah.
you're muted.
I got insight.
You made it.
14 out of 72.
He is trying to seem jovial and calm, but there's a tension in this man. He appears very nervous about speaking and pushing the situation.
So nervous about us or about the situation? Is he like a little scared of us at all?
He's glancing
or...
at the people in the bar.
Oh. And he wants us to come out of the bar
and go see his boss.
Does it seem like he's worried about the people at the bar seeing what's happening, or is he worried about the people at the bar? Like, does he seem scared? Tell. Okay.
He seems like he's working very hard not to appear like this is an urgent matter, but okay. You're getting that this is an urgent matter and he doesn't want everyone to know this is an urgent matter.
All right. I convey that to Macrion.
In front of him?
By whisper.
Like we're all just going to
lean over to Macrion and whisper that it seems like there's a certain degree of urgency here that's making this man nervous.
So he, kind of like, he doesn't say anything. He just sort of slaps you on the shoulder. And then he looks back over to Herminius and he says, "Are you coming?"
Herminius he has kind of a half-finished goblet of wine at this point, and he just kind of looks at it with a slight perturbment and puts it down on the table and begins to walk with them.
Malachi reaches over and grabs the half-finished and just throws it back real quick, and then
so Macrion, throws his arm around the guy's shoulder and says, "Off to see Julius then."
I take up the rear as we're leaving. I just keep it. I kind of casually look at the rest of the folks in the bar just to see if there's anyone that's overly watching us.
I was actually going to ask to hang back for like a minute or two to see.
Right. No, but everybody starts whispering about that when you hang back, Doreena.
Okay.
All right, good, because I got a 97, so I didn't fucking see
Like if the guy's uncomfortable, like I'm just trying to make him more like he's playing like he's oblivious, but since Malachi told him what was going on, like he's just sort of playing it up.
Yep.
Okay. So he says, "Well, thanks for coming and not making a scene, but we take it as a sign that you're here now. Men and women of your particular skill set."
Doreena, did you stay back in the bar?
I came along with you guys. I just waited like a couple of moments just to see if anything standoffish.
We
but
heard
nothing happened.
My master has heard of the young noble you saved. The author?
Yes, Optimus.
And he says, "Have you heard the rumors?"
We heard that there was some trouble heading north from here.
There's a great deal of trouble. My master will tell you more. So you're going to the house. It's like night. Nobody really travels at night in the Roman Empire. It's it's a world before gaslights. So the guy comes out. It's obvious that he's hastily dressed and just out of bed. He brings you, he comes out, he greets you, he goes, "Greetings, I am Gaius Junus. I am the administrator of this town. I'm sorry to pull you out of your evening's revel, but when we heard that Herminius Rusticus, the witch hunter, was here, we took it as a favorable sign, and to find him with his companions, surely you're meant to be here because we have need of you."
Well, if anybody believed in the fates, then surely they must have had a hand in bringing us here.
Have you heard the rumors about bandits and other dark things on the roads north?
Yes, vaguely. We've heard some rumors about mountain witches and cannibals and such. But please, it is. I assume that you have a little bit more information, or at least rumor that could feed this.
He says, "We didn't release all of the facts. The boy was not the only one who made it back."
Interesting.
Shortly after the boy arrived, a horse of one of the mercenaries arrived. It's better if I show you.
Please lead on.
They take you to the horse, and they tell you, he leads you to, and he says, "We're keeping the mare here." He says one of the healers said that it would be kinder to put her down, but we thought that it would be better. An animal that was so loyal should be given a fighting chance. If infection doesn't take her, she's got a good chance. And you see her, and she has a deep scratch on her flank, as if a bear had mauled her. And like right before that, you see a palm-sized bite that is like bloodied and scabbing over. And they said there was her rider was dead, slumped in the saddle. And he was in even worse shape than her.
Is Doreena with us now?
Yes.
All right. Then in that case, I'll kind of turn a little and say, huntress, do these appear to be of any animal markings that you might be aware of?
Roll your natural world.
I make it, yes.
It's a human bite.
This does
A
look familiar.
large human. But the way the bite is done, it appears to, the only animal it could be that you know of is human.
Clearly a hungry human.
This does look familiar, but I can't put my tongue on it just yet.
I don't think you would want to stick your tongue on that. It
No,
looks
I know. I'm sorry. I
Damn it,
forgot the
Macrion.
phrase. Sorry.
He says the slave said that
It doesn't
one of the
translate
guards.
well.
The slave said that one of the guards got away before he played dead and hid. The man died of blood loss, and we think that the horse just wandered back to town. It was pretty spooked. The guards found it at the edge of town and brought it here without anyone seeing.
And what of the boy? The rumor was that he'd been killed in custody. Is there what had happened to him?
Well, because he was a slave, we needed to verify the truth of his testimony. So he underwent some torture. But the next day, after the man's wounds arrived, the mauled man, the mauled horse, and the corpse arrived. We wanted to talk to him more about his story, about a mountain witch, about a hag, and we found that he'd already hung himself. The guards had said that even after the torture, he'd been having horrific nightmares, screaming in his sleep. They were grateful when the screams stopped, but they should have checked on him. Apparently, he woke from a nightmare and took his own life. He didn't even have a belt. He shredded his clothes.
Yes, well, perhaps after running into a cannibalistic mountain hag and then being tortured by some guards, it might have pushed him over the edge a bit.
He says
he
the
says
story
with
could not be
slight disdain.
the story could not be believed. He said that the creature was like an old woman, and she commanded mist and took the form of a bat.
Cannot be believed, and yet I am sitting here now.
and that's why we summoned you. For if suddenly such a creature is among us, and then, within a few days, one of the greatest witch hunters in the Empire shows up, we were wondering if you were here to find her. She's whatever this creature is, it's only been active in our hills for about 6 months. We had hoped that you were on her trail and you could tell us more. We have no history of such a creature in our hills.
Can I make as he starts to describe like what her powers are, can I make an occult check to see if this if I know anything about, like a mountain hag, a bog witch, what do I think may have those
roll a
types of
Cthulhu
powers?
Mythos roll.
Oh, Cthulhu Mythos. Okay. Oh, shit. I'm not as good at that. Ooh, 94.
No. Of the guard?
No, either the guard or the boy.
No. They
Even
were
the saddle?
Yeah, but there's nothing
Okay.
on it. So yeah, they say that we're fairly certain that something very dark and dangerous is on the road. We'd like to actually speak to the family who once lived there, but apparently there was a fire about a year before all of this started, and the last person who saw them said they were fine. He lives in Lugavelium now. A merchant by the name of Callus.
And he has not been back down this way since?
No. Not sure if he's still in the trade. We haven't seen him in many, many months.
And no one thought to send someone up the other road through Coria to try to seek him out, or to seek the aid of the military in Lugvalium?
We don't want to trouble the military with this if we can help it. We have local guards here, and I'm willing to send them against the witch. I just fear that against such a creature, I'd simply be sending my men to their death. We don't know what we're dealing with. But if the rumors can be believed, you folks are something of an expert in this sort of thing.
We've had our experiences. This is more of Herminius's expertise, if she is aware.
Then I am making a formal request with the power invested in me by the Emperor and the Governor. Please help us clear this road of the Mountain Witch. It is dangerous. The attacks are getting closer and closer to the town. I fear if this goes on much, much longer, all trade with Lugavellum will completely dry up, and we'll start to have attacks on the outer farms and homesteads closer to town.
Well,
if you could have heard the boy's descriptions of what it did to those men, I hope he was mad, but now I'm not so sure. He says, we cannot live beside such a thing.
I do normally require a down payment.
Of course.
However, this seems to be a rather serious situation, and so I believe if you provide room and board and take care of our supplies ahead of time that we might need, then payment afterwards will be sufficient.
He snaps his fingers and he says, prepare the guest house for visiting dignitaries. He says, we'll be staying with me.
Give a little nod.
He says, I'll have whatever food, drink, bedding you need. If you wish to submit a list, he hands you a wax tablet. Anything you need.
I'll pass that over to Macrion. He has better handwriting.
If we have it, it's yours. But I do not wish to send my men patrolling north.
That's fine. We would not want them to get in the way anyway.
Wonderful. Then I'll leave it.
Or do we? I mean, any chance that some soldiers or something could come along with us, perhaps?
I would rather not. They're not equipped to fight this sort of thing.
Macrion started to put like soldiers on the list, and then you hear him crossing it off.
I say as an aside, this is great since I'm the one that's going to have to be the first person to get poked by her. I say as an aside to the audience.
We're going meta. Oh, yes.
So,
well, if the rooms are prepared, we would take a meal, I guess, now, and we can discuss what we may need for our journey.
Okay. He allows you guys to take up residence, and he brings you guys a hot meal, and a warm roof, warm beds and a dry roof to sleep under.
So, Herminius, this seems to fall under more of your purview, perhaps. If she is a witch, it's not something that I feel comfortable expounding on myself. It's not something that I'm quite familiar with.
Yes, but I believe it also does take a little bit more research. The last few times that we believed that we had been dealing with sorcery, it ended up being some other perversion of nature. I'm not exactly listing it out. It does seem to fit some of the criteria, but I do believe that some investigation is required.
I do find it interesting. So I confirm with them that it was a human bite mark, because I didn't specifically confirm it in front of the other people who were asking us. But the other markings were markings of a bear. Is that something a witch can do? I don't really know much about them.
Is it?
And do witch hags eat people? Do they?
I don't know. Would that be like an occult or a mythos?
For which? I'm sorry.
To figure out like the kind of the physiology of hags, and if they would be able to leave these kind of marks, like the bear-like claws and everything. Oh, that's a 100 out of 37. I don't have.
Jesus.
I don't have that much.
You're pretty
luck.
sure those aren't claw marks, but some kind of a tentacled sucker thing.
I'd like to call his bullshit on that.
Roll your occult.
Nope, not enough.
Yep, you guys, nothing. You got nothing.
Tentacle things. Okay.
Tentacles. That doesn't. I don't think a tentacle makes a mark like that, though. It looks more of a dash than a.
Oftentimes, the suckers of the tentacle will have a tiny little hook inside, so possibly being dragged along.
So the suction is what made the big circle, I guess, right? And the tip of the tentacle scratch. Is that what we're talking about here?
So again, we are going to be going in blind, it would seem. Perhaps we could find the old man seemed to be relatively knowledgeable about the legends and lore of this area. Perhaps an old timer would be willing to share some tales with us.
I would also like to hear from the guard that was overhearing the screams and the nightmares and see if there was anything specific that they remember.
You can speak with him, and he's brought to you first thing in the morning, and basically says most of it was just whimpers followed by screams. He would wake up, sob uncontrollably. We brought him some hot broth and told him that, we would find, a new master for him, possibly work in the house. He was, we were trying to find out who owned him after his master had been killed. We were trying to confirm that the master was in fact killed. He was saying about how this witch appeared out of the mist and started slashing everyone with her claws, and that she was drinking blood from the wounds on the necks, laughing, cackling, that it was all chaos, that he said that there was a mist and he ran away from the witch and somehow she was in front of him again, that the fog just turned you back towards danger whichever way you ran and there was no escape, and then that nobody believes him. He says maybe we should have, but we've never had any legends of such creatures in our hills. He goes, I've even asked my mother and my grandmother, and we've lived here for generations. We've been locals. There have never been hags in the hills.
Did you notice any markings on his body?
No, the boy wasn't harmed, which is why we suspected he'd been in league with the bandits. Didn't have a scratch on him, other than what you might find, walking through the mountains or running aimlessly.
When he was sleeping, was he saying anything in his sleep?
Not that I could tell.
Okay. Do you gentlemen have any questions?
Macrion raises a finger and starts to say something and then stops and then kind of scrunches his face up. He's not quite sure how to proceed.
I believe with the confusion and madness that could have set in the situation, it would be very difficult to get any clear information out of what happened. I believe our best course of action at this moment is to rest up, prepare, and head into the hills to gather our own assessment.
Wise counsel.
Okay, so is that the plan?
I mean, if I could find that old guy again, I would talk to him.
Well, it's morning. You have all day, unless you want to leave right away.
I'm big in favor of finding out more information. I'll just say that. I feel like we may be outmanned, quite literally. Here.
Okay. So you go back to the bar. You get his name. You're told where he lives. He has a shop. He's a tailor. He makes clothes. You find his shop. You can easily speak to him. And he says, "Oh, our esteemed guest." He goes, "How did things go with the mayor?"
We had an interesting conversation. He spoke to us about the situation on the roads. But I am more interested, I think, in fact, in the stories that you started to tell us last night about what you may believe be on the road.
He says people are so quick to discount the old stories and legends, but he says the tales of hags are, I mean, while we have not had one in this region, they have been, throughout this part of Britannia for, going back to before the Romans came. No one knows really where they come from or why, but there are tales of creatures of great power that seem weak and old and frail, wielding magic and hungering for the flesh of humans. You know, witches, if you will, hags. These are not, these are all stories we grow up with. And from the boy's description, this seems to be what it would be.
Interesting. We have heard many strange tales since coming to Britannia of your legends and lore.
He said, I said, if you've been hired to look into this, he says that there are many things about, he goes, I met the woman who lived in the hills with her children, with her grandchildren. I actually had stayed at her hostel, at her rooming house on the long road north. They were very good people. They, offered food and water and bedding. And for them to be burned out, I think that more should have been done. Yes, they sent a priest and they said a few prayers and they set up an altar. But as I said, we never had hags in these hills before that. I feel the town is being punished. I feel we let them down. I feel like there's more going on than we're being told.
And the old tales, do they tell of a way to eliminate such a threat? Cold iron, I would imagine, seems a pretty standard remedy for these types of things.
Yes, usually. Roll your occult, or did you already fail your occult?
No, I rolled Cthulhu Mythos earlier.
Okay.
46 out of 76.
In many of the stories of creatures such as this, it takes a weapon enchanted by a magician or gifted from the gods or the fairies to pierce the skin of such a creature.
The fairies, yes, indeed. We've heard such tales. Did the tales say anything about appeasement? Is there any dealing with these types of creatures?
You made your occult roll. This is almost like a destructive force of nature in the tales. These are allegories for hate and hunger and vengeance.
Sure.
There are no tales of redemptions when it comes to such creatures.
Okay. Sometimes that works for us. Yes. Seems as if we'll have our work cut out for us. Then, Malachi, do you have any questions for this gentleman? I may be interested in a new toga. Do you have anything cut for my size?
He does, and you can patronize his shop a bit.
Yeah, I will.
And he says, what are your plans? Do you plan to travel the road north?
So it would seem. We need to gather some information to see what we're up against.
He says, well, no one here knows anything. We're all in the dark. And if we've been cursed by the gods, we'll have to find a way to appease them.
Did the grandmother have any family in town?
Her daughter married a man in town. She moved here. They both died. They both died of fever. The children recovered and they were taken to the grandmother at her house. She was raising them, and they were all working together to run the roadside hostel. They were quite happy.
Did they have anyone else helping them aside from the 2 grandchildren?
No, she made good money servicing the caravans, providing them with food and hay and water. So they would, the eldest girl and boy would come, and they would purchase supplies. She was almost a woman, and he was not far behind that. They'd come with a donkey cart, much the same as yours, and pick up supplies every few days.
Mm.
They'd usually stay overnight with an aunt, but from their fathers can,
Does that aunt still live in town?
Yes,
May I have her name?
you do. They give you the name.
Thank you.
Her name is Hastra, and Hastra is the wife of a local cobbler whom you met at the bar last night.
Oh, interesting.
So what is your plan?
You want to talk to her before we head out, Doreena?
I noticed the correlation between the family and the fire, and it being 1 year after it happening that all of these things are starting to happen. So I'm wondering if we learn a little bit more about that family. It might be helpful. Do you agree?
I don't disagree. It's convenient that it's a year. It may be the anniversary of the fire, perhaps.
Possibly.
Do you wish to ask around for specific dates?
Yeah.
The first mention that the homestead had been burned out, that the roadside had been burned out and the family was dead, those came in September.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on.
Harvest.
So, hold on, wait a minute. I back that up. It may be more like March. It may have been more like April.
Ah.
Nope, August. And the attacks have been going on for 6 months, and it's now late February, about early March. So it's a year and 6 months later. Right now, it's a year and 6 months later. But the first attacks took place at the right before harvest, they said.
Hmm.
Is it when they were cutting hay and drying it, when they were cutting grass and letting it dry for hay, which is usually September.
Okay.
So, yes, the first attacks took place 1 year after the homestead was burned out, in the same month.
Okay.
So, do you wish to speak with Hastra?
Yes.
Okay. Hastra, she looks you guys over when you come to her. It's her, you come to the cobbler shop, you see he's working in the back with a few servants, and a woman comes out and she says, welcome. Do you need something repaired, or do you wish to see some of our wares?
I would like to purchase some wares, but I also have some questions.
Questions?
Yes. Regarding your nieces and nephews who had
My sis-
unfortunately passed away a year,
Uh,
6 months ago.
Yes, my brother's children.
Yes.
He said, I should have taken them in, but the grandmother insisted. She didn't approve of her daughter marrying my brother, and I didn't want to make trouble. So I saw them as often as I could, and I put them up when they would come in for supplies. I actually bought most of the supplies for them so they wouldn't be away from their grandmother too much longer.
How kind of you.
They were my blood, even though they were also her blood.
Hmm.
So is that like an in-game, like sort of a hitch? Can I make an insight? Does she like?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an insight.
Perhaps it was just my poor acting, or perhaps it was my good acting.
I rolled an 03 against. I think what was it? 23 against 23.
You picked up the tone in her voice of also her blood.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
realize that there's some uneasiness about the children, or possibly her her poor deceased sister-in-law, or possibly the grandmother.
He says, do you have, or I guess now, apologies, had some concerns about their situation?
No, they were very well cared for. Their grandmother treated them quite well. I really couldn't say a bad thing about the way she treated them.
But something about the woman herself, perhaps.
She says that her family had a dark reputation. But Baradal, they said, never did harm to anyone. But still, because of the stigma over her family, she chose to live apart from town up in the hills. Her daughter managed to seduce my brother somehow, and she came down from the hills to live here in town, which caused a rift between her and her mother. And then when they died of fever, she came and claimed the children.
And what did they say about this family exactly?
I'd rather not speak ill of the dead. And to be fair, nothing was ever proven or spoke ill of Baradal. It was more those who sired her. And then it would only be rumor.
Well, in our line of work, rumor is often what leads to the truth.
Roll a persuade.
I waited for someone else.
That is a truthful, persuasive argument.
Ooh, that is a 61 out of 70. So
Nice.
She says it was said that Baradal's father was a sorcerer who treated with dark forces in the hills.
makes sense. It is not often a practice that one does in the midst of a town.
But he had been dead since the time the grandmother was a young girl. Baradal's mother, the children's great-grandmother, would come into town buying supplies, and if she felt people cheated her or looked down on her, sometimes she would make the sign to cast hexes on them. So she was generally feared and accused of being a witch. But Baradal in her time uh, she never did anything like that. She got married. Her husband died early. They had the one daughter. They, built the place up in the hills. When her daughter left, she was by herself. And once her daughter and my brother died of their illnesses, the children went to live with her. But no one ever accused Baradal of witchcraft. Nor really her mother. Mostly it was just hand signals and of the sort that our protective charms would defend us. If she had a gift, it was weak.
Or she did well to hide it.
Possibly. Do you think that the children's grandmother could be this thing they're saying is in the hills?
Anything is possible.
I will tell you this. I was not fond of my sister-in-law. I feel that she trapped my brother and left, trapped him with her children to get away from her mother and to live properly in town. I resented her for that. But I had no ill will to the children. The children were beautiful and blameless. They were my nieces and nephews. They were my brother's children as well. And from what I saw, their grandmother loved them and treated them well. I cannot believe she could be capable of such a thing.
People are capable of many things that you would not expect, but does Baradal's family's home still stand? Is the property still there?
I could tell you where it is, but I don't know if it still stands. I was there a year ago when they set the shrine. I was there a year and a half ago when they set the shrine. Most of it had been burned down to the walls.
So the hostel was the home of the family then?
Yes, that's where they lived.
I see.
She said, I would think it's more someone who wishes you to believe it's a mountain hag committing some evil. He goes, and she lived there for decades. Why would a fire suddenly break out? The house was made of stone. Stone doesn't burn that well. With 4 children, 2 whom were almost youths, if a fire did break out, the 5 of them could handle it. The boys were 8 and 10. The eldest girl was almost 13.
Macrion.
Yes.
What do you think?
She says, I never trusted the story of a fire killing all 5 of them.
What do you think of the chances of a potential malevolent spirit in here?
I suppose it's possible.
I'm thinking possibly the spirit of the mother. Maybe the unfinished business being separated from her child, driven a spirit insane.
It is possible.
She says the house they lived in is still here, and there's been no reports of it being haunted. A family's been living there. I mean, my brother died 5 years ago. They've been living with their grandmother for 5 years. I mean, the youngest was only 2 when they all went to live up in the hills.
And how old did you say that the eldest daughter was?
Almost 13. She was 12.
13. So at this point, she would be about 17, 18?
No, she was 12 when she died.
Oh, that's right.
The boy who was 2, he was nearly 8.
Was there any talk of any ill will with anyone in town? Any
No, the
feuds?
children was well liked. My brother was well liked. Most people were upset that the children were no longer going to be living in town, but they came in to town at least twice a week for supplies. They had friends here. If anything, the fact that Baradel took so good care of them made her more welcome in town as well. She just chose to send the children to bring back and forth supplies. But there was no ill will towards her. Far from it. She was providing a valuable service. The fact that the road had a stop on it meant that more merchants would flow through town. The fact that there was a rest stop along that road made our town a more attractive trading hub.
Do you know of anybody in town that could potentially have been looking to usurp her business and possibly had been wronged by traders stopping at her hostel rather than in some other junction?
The only trader with a reputation for cheating people no longer lives here. He lives up in Legavellum now.
Oh, Callus.
Yes. Not that from what I'm hearing, he's no longer a merchant. He had no skill for it other than treachery.
Indeed. He is a bit far from our reach at the moment, though.
If anyone's behind the bandits' attacks, it's him. He was the one who said that they had vanished in a mysterious fire. I'm betting the bandits just wish to get rid of any witnesses in the hills.
Human greed is often the cause of much suffering.
She says, if there's anything else, I really should get back to my family.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
She wishes you luck. And, that's it. I mean, she has nothing else to say. But she seems, to genuinely miss her nieces and nephews.
So I guess as we're out on the street, Macrion just says, could this just be a simple robbery gone wrong? If she was, with the hostel being on the road, she must have made a fair, decent amount of coin. Perhaps one broke in and killed her and the children, set fire to cover the crime. Perhaps it unleashed some evil spirit, as you suggested, Herminius.
Yes, that is my initial thought as well. I don't believe that the ignition has any spiritual or sorcery behind it.
How did the kids get trapped in that, though?
Well, it could very well have been purposeful. Whomever had set fire to the cottage, to the hostel, could have purposely barred the doors and ensured that nobody escaped.
Or murdered them all first.
True, and then set fire to cover up the murder.
They
They're
did
far
say they
from
were
town.
unable to find any remains.
Oh,
That is also true.
I missed that part. They didn't find any remains.
Really all depends on exactly how hard they looked. When you come upon a building that has been torched to the ground, or as much as a stone structure can, I wonder exactly how much they searched.
Doreena, as the local, how important would it be for our relative local? How important would it be for the locals to recover the remains of these people, especially if they were maybe relatives?
I don't know. Actually, is there anything I could roll for that?
No, it's
Like
the
well, they're
governor said
British.
there was a concerted effort to locate what they could and say prayers, but a road like this through the hills is you're talking North England, so these are long rolling hills.
Okay.
So I mean, it's kind of a remote area. So, and again, if the house is burned to the ground, there's not going to be much left.
Yes, it's a stone. I'm assuming like stone outer structure, but then like wood on the inside. So like it's just a hollow shell now.
Right.
Should we take Daisy in the cart or should we walk?
I think walking should be okay.
Walking might allow us some more flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and if we are dealing with either a creature or a sorcerer, it would be good to search the area around for any signs of malevolence.
What time is it now? Is
It's
it
about
midday?
midday. You've been at it for a while.
Okay. And how far would it take us to get to the remains?
If you traveled hard all day, you should get to the shrine probably the next morning. You'd probably have to camp near there. If you rode really hard, you could get to the shrine because that's the shrine is about a 1 day's travel from town.
Mm.
Like, so you would make a hard push, rest there for the night, and then make a hard push the rest of the way. So it would take you all day. It would be almost nightfall before you got near it.
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
No.
Well, it's in the summer months when the road's used more often, you'd have more daylight. So you would surely get there before dark. But this time of the year, it's definitely going to be dark before you get there.
Perhaps we take half the journey tonight, camp out. If it's tied to the house, if it is tied to the action of the fire or perhaps a murder, then if it is a manifestation, it should be confined perhaps to that area. We're not sure that it is the whole road that is cursed, but perhaps within a radius of the home. If we go perhaps halfway tonight, keeping our eyes and ears open to see if anything is out and about.
I find that acceptable.
We'll have to retrieve my armor before we go.
All right, so I think we should kind of stop. It's almost 11. Seems a good spot in the narrative.
Yep.
You have some sort of idea of what might be happening out in the hills. Or at least you think you do.
I think we do.
Which is good enough for me.
It's probably better for you.
It's either a hag or a spirit or a werewolf
bear.
Or cannibals.
Oh,
or
it could be lots of things.
For sure.
Oh God. Whatever
I'm sure
it
it's probably fine.
It's always fine.
is.
It all works out in the end.
It's all
Yep.
fine. It's all good.
Cool.
I feel like we need more allies. But
It's hard to run a game for more than 4.
Yeah.
no, I
We need, what he means is we need a bunch of red shirts.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Red togas?
Sure.
Red togas.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Well-
guys just walk up there. Just let us know if you see anything.
Yeah.
If
Go
you
ahead.
guys are really serious about that, you
Maybe
can
a
send a
couple
messenger and see if the doctor and the bodyguard from a few sessions ago would be willing to come north and help take care of this possible mountain witch.
Bring your
we've got-
needle and
we've got-
thread to.
We've got 2
to
weeks if
fix
you want to
Malachi.
if you want to contact one of the special guest stars from previous episodes. If you really think you need extra bodies.
Well, I certainly do. As the resident muscle, who's going to be on the spear point of this thing.
So
I can't help
there's
but pay attention to the fact that 20 some odd armed men got chewed up and disappeared pretty quick.
So there's the crazy.
Yeah, but they didn't have fey weapons.
There's the crazy picked spearman. I believe the doctor, the Celtic warrior, and the very clever slave who almost had a heart attack from the Fae. So you've had 4 different special guest stars. If you wish to send dispatches to all of them, I would allow it, and we'll see if any of them are available on the 14th.
21st.
21st.
You gave me a heart attack
Even better. You've got more time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could do it on the Facebook page. We could have that discussion, I guess, and see
Right.
how you guys want to proceed.
Excuse me.
That's
all
cool.
right. So
All right. Well,
do your
thanks.
thing, Macrion.
Yep. Thank everybody for checking us out. We had Max jumping in today for a little while and said, hey, I haven't seen you guys in a long time. What happened? And fucking life schedules, traffic. It's been a hot mess here in the last couple of months. We haven't played Day Trippers in forever, but nobody cares about that. We do have coffee for sale, though. So if you are interested in that, there's a link in the show notes. You could also hit tinyurl.com/legendary brew to pick up that sweet, sweet legendary brew. It's a nice, easy drinking medium roast. I got an order in maybe 2 weeks ago in real time. It's fantastic. Neil's still roasting. It's just spoils you for good coffee. I know Oscar's had it and Jesse's had it. It's fantastic. It's roasted to order. It's fresh, comes to you. It's roasted, shipped right out. So it's not sitting around somewhere.
Makes your mailbox smell like coffee.
Makes your mailbox smell like coffee. Yep. So if you order that, a little bit of money comes back to the show, and we appreciate that. The other brews over at Birds are also fantastic. The dark roast, the Night Owl blend is also very tasty. A little less caffeine in that because the darker the roast, the less caffeine. I didn't know that when I started. Now I do, so I go medium. Light will get you even more caffeine if that's your thing. We also have a Patreon up. If you care to throw a couple of sesterci our way, that's fantastic. If you're of a mind to do so, I would prefer that you throw those sesterci over at Oscar. There's a tip jar over at goldengoblinpress.com. He's taking time out of his schedule to run and play. He's got a full plate of things that he's doing as well. So we're going to play either way. So support the cool people that do cooler things than what we're such
people
that allow us?
If there are such people, I have not met them. There are no cooler people than us.
But ratings and reviews on iTunes are super helpful. Bumps us up in the algorithm. Everybody knows the drill. Do the things. Leaves the feedback. Order the coffee. All that stuff. Maybe we'll see it at Necronomicon next year. Neil's got that stuff all squared away. Hopefully everything stays cool. Delta variants notwithstanding, I guess.
Get your shots.
Yeah, get your fucking shots. Not to put too fine a point on it. But again, thanks everybody for checking it out. We appreciate you being around, watching the shows, downloading stuff, listening to the podcast. We have fun doing it. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Bye.
All right.